So this video will be a precursor to the Eflex 6 pad review, which will be coming right after, or a couple days after this video goes live. So this is Netcam of the Eflex 6 pads. Now, I played a couple games and a couple training sessions, not my training. I was in that for Junior B and Junior A kids. When they're training, I'm just their goalie person. I'm gonna call this out right now because people are going to instantly call this out and complain about it. These pads are slightly too big. Normally I wore a 35 Eflex previously. With the new boot on here, I would probably need a 33 based on the strapping on here. The actual size of them kind of works with a 34, but with the way the straps work, that inner strap basically just pulls it up too much. So I would need to go to a 33, kind of similar to what the true PX3s I wear are. I land very similarly on the block with this pad as I do with the custom PX3s I have because of that FRS strap. So my custom ones are 34 plus 2s. These are 34 3s. I don't use this FRS strap, so they fit, my knee lands better in the block on these ones than it does with the plus 2s when I use this strap. So with these pads, I would probably have to go with a 33 plus 3, and it would probably work a little bit better than what these do. But you can see at the very beginning of this video how bad the thigh rise seal is, and I will call this out. Well, I've already called it out in the thigh rise test. You could see it, and I will call it out in the actual review itself. I tested this thigh rise seal with my knee at the top of the block and the bottom of the block. So when I was doing the test for it with the puck machine, I made sure my knee was in the middle of the block. So it was actually a fair test and I wasn't sitting at the bottom pulling the pad up. I made sure I was landing on it a way that was not as natural as what this is. When you can see when I land on this, naturally the pad slides up a bit, but when I'm doing the thigh rise test, I can make sure where my knee lands and I can kind of pull my skate kind of off the pad a bit just to make sure my knee is landing properly on that block so we don't have kind of a misleading test. I'm not trying to make companies look bad. I never care about that. I don't get money from companies. I don't get money from making these videos, really. I lose money every year doing any of this content for all the gear I buy. I just want to do these tests because really there's no one else doing tests like this out there, and I think they're interesting and it's fun to kind of look at this stuff. These pads, with the way the knees are made, and you can see it in this video, you can also see it in the review video when I'm like behind it, the block just moves a lot and it's never really completely like steady and it's rounded on the sides. That doesn't help with the thigh rise seal here. And I've seen custom Eflex 6 pads where the thigh rise seal is way better than these, but I've also seen NHL Eflex 6 pads where the thigh rise seal is worse than these, or pretty close. You can see Skinner from the Oilers, his thigh rise is off the ice all the time. So it's a weird mix of things, and maybe these pads are just kind of not well made and the thigh rise is kind of coming up on there. That could be a thing. We'll cover it in the review, but I want to call this out right away, and I'll put the snippet that is in the review right here covering where no matter where my knee is, it still has that gap at the top. So that gap isn't just because of this. While I would have preferred to test a 33 pad, these are demo sets. Sometimes you don't get to have the set that you really need for sizing and everything. Like these weren't given to me for free from CCM as a whole custom set. So what the store had is what I had to go with. And you'll see with the V10 pads, that kind of happened again, but the V10s are a lot better. We'll see what happens with the V10s when we review the V10s. But this is a very good example of how, but these pads fit very close to my 34 plus 2 PX3s do with this FRS strap. So the results of them, like how you can see the thighs, is a tell on how this pad seal is overall. And yes, they're not perfect fitting, but the pad shouldn't be doing what it's doing regardless. And I'm pretty good at judging when a pad doesn't really fit right. When I did the Eflex 4 review, pad didn't fit right. My G5's pad didn't fit right, and no one really complained about it. My knee does land lower like this on the block, but over here, even when it's at the top, so this is me laying at the top of the block, this is still off the ice, as you can see, and it doesn't make a difference. So at the top is like that, going lower is like that. There's no difference between the two. So even though people will comment and say the pads are too big, you're landing too low in the block, this isn't as bad as I'm saying it is. When you're at the top of the block, it makes no difference. So I want to call that out. Core Tech, which are core shorts, and people have heard of these before. They were labeled under Under Armour before. Now Bauer sells hockey specific one, but Core themselves sell their own line of pants and supportive
clothing and apparel. Basically, this stuff helps you with growing strains, growing pulls, and helps keep your hips tight and everything like that. And speaking of injuries, I kind of pulled a growing playing in the playoffs a few months ago and have had to keep using these Tech shorts to make sure my growing doesn't get worse. When I don't wear them, I can feel it and it hurts kind of to walk the next day. With these, keeps everything nice and tight and keeps everything from stretching out too far and getting injured. So these have been a huge savior for me. Check out the link in the description to their website and use my coupon code that's in there to get a discount, and I'll put it on the screen here. It helps support myself and the channel so I can make content and doing real reviews, but also you get a solid product that I use all the time and basically am needed in order to keep my growing from falling apart. Otherwise, if you want to support the channel without buying anything, check out the links in the description to Patreon and buy me a coffee. Everything through those links always comes back into the channel so I can keep making more content and doing more reviews.
Y'all ready for this?
You're watching HockeyReviews.ca.